Hi, this is Mrs. Sigmund. We're going to look at section 2.6, solving proportions. Again, we're in unit 1, and the date may be different for you, but this is a week that starts with September 7th. Okay, so some vocabulary terms that you'll see. A ratio compares two numbers by division. So those usually look like fractions for us. A ratio that compares quantities measured in different units is called a rate. So think like miles per hour would compare miles and hours. And a unit rate is a fraction or a ratio that has a denominator of 1. A proportion takes two ratios and sets them equal to one another. So in this first example, you can see 7/8 equal to k over 12. To solve them, we do cross multiplication. So what that means is we're going to multiply the k times the 8. That'll give us 8k. And then we'll multiply the 7 by the 12. We set those two things equal to each other. So we get 8k equals 84. And then we divide each side by 8 to get the k by itself. So we're left with k equals 10.5. Okay, so we have another example. This time our variable is in the denominator. We're still going to cross multiply. It doesn't matter the order you do this. So we'll look here. We have 3 times w, which is going to be 3w. We want to set that equal to our other diagonal, or negative 8 times 4. 3w equals negative 32. And then we want to get that w by itself. So we will divide by 3. Be careful with the negatives. Again, we have a negative divided by a positive. And so we're left with negative 10.6. Some proportions will have a section or two that have what we call a binomial. So a term that has, or an expression that has two terms. You can see that with the j plus 3. So we're going to cross multiply the same way we have before, but this piece is going to be 6 times the whole numerator, j plus 3. And then we'll set it equal to our other diagonal of 5 times 12. And now what I hope we see is that we should be distributing. So that 6 is going to distribute into the parentheses. That'll give us 6j plus 18. And then on the other side, we get a 60. To get j by itself, we first need to subtract 18 from both sides. That leaves us with 6j equals 42. And then we'll divide each side by 6 to get j equals 7. Okay, again, we see those binomials as part of our ratios. We have 2 of them here, so we're just going to go through that distributing process twice as we start to cross multiply. Again, it doesn't matter which piece you do first as far as the diagonals. So we have 5 times our f plus 3 equals 4 times the f minus 8. And again, we're going to distribute. So 5 is going to distribute to the f and the 3, and the 4 will distribute to the f and the negative 8. That gives us 5f plus 15 equals 4f minus 32. Just like we solved equations with variables on both sides, I want to move my variables, ideally trying to keep that variable positive. So I'm going to subtract 4f from both sides. I'm left with f plus 15. And then on the other side, I'm left with just the negative 32. We'll subtract 15 from both sides. And we get f equals a negative 47. Okay, common with proportion lessons is word problems. So this one says, Josh finished 24 math problems in 1 hour. At this rate, how many hours will it take him to complete 60 problems? Well, here we have a couple different ways we can set this up. We have various pieces of information. We have the number of problems and the amount of time that it takes. So maybe we set it up as 24 problems over 1 hour compared to 60 problems over X amount of hours. In that proportion, I have number of problems over that time. We could also set it up as 24 to 60 problems, knowing that 24 problems took him 1 hour and an unknown amount of time for the 60 problems. What I want you to notice is that we're following a pattern here. And when I do my cross multiplication, in either of those, I'm multiplying the same pieces together. So it doesn't make a difference. I could also flip both of those proportions over and have the same situation. So we're left with 1 times 60, which is 60, equals 24x. And then we would divide by the 24. To get 2.5 equals x. And that 2.5 is representing the number of hours to complete 60 problems. All right, let's try another one. A girl stands 5 feet tall and casts a shadow that is 2 feet long. An apartment building casts a shadow that is 35 feet long. How tall is the building? So we are looking for a height, that will be our variable, of a building. The things that we're comparing are someone or some things' actual height versus their shadow. So again, we can set this up different ways. We can set it up to be a 1 ratio for the girl height over shadow. And then we would want to follow that pattern for the building. Height over shadow. Could also do height of the girl and height of the building. But then we would want to line that up and put the girl's shadow over the building's shadow. Again, when you look at what's being multiplied in our diagonals, those pieces are the same. So 5 times 35 gives us 175. And then we have our 2 times x. When we divide by 2, we get a solution of x equals 87.5. That finishes our lesson on proportions. There's an assignment in Reveal, section 2.6. or there's a PDF available in Schoology as well.